Hi, welcome to today's video. My name is Paul. So this week, quick video, just want to talk about getting started drawing landscapes. In this case, I'm using charcoal, willow charcoal to be exact. But whatever medium you're using. The question kind of is, if you're new to it, how do you start? Where do you start? It can be a bit overwhelming. Um, and I think one of the main reasons for that is the amount of detail that you can see in the natural world and photographs of the natural world does feel intimidating. It's just too much detail, and you don't know where to begin or how to even start the drawing. So this little video, maybe hopefully I'll help some people get over that initial feeling of intimidation and just get started doing some landscape drawings. So first thing I would say is I do not use photographic references, such as the one you can see on screen, exactly because the amount of detail in there. You see, when you're working from a photograph, you have to decide how much of this detail am I going to put in? How much am I going to leave out? If I leave something out, what do I leave out? And then there's also the question of your drawing skill. Is it good enough to include all of this detail? Maybe one day it will be, but you've got to get there in the first place. And you're only going to get there by actually doing drawings. And if you're too scared or feel you're not able to do the drawings, you'll never get to where you want to be. It's a catch-22 type of thing. So forget about photographs, forget about all those details. We're going to have a different sort of approach. Think about the big shapes. So in that previous photograph, you basically have three things. You've got the sky, the land, and where they meet, the horizon line. And that's it. You've got those three basic shapes. So creating a composition is basically deciding how you're going to arrange those three things on your piece of paper. At this moment, don't think about the drawing, don't worry about drawing, just you've got those three basic elements. How are you going to arrange them onto the paper? So we go back to the original drawing that I showed you. You can see the horizon line. It's about 1/3 down from the top of the page, or 2/3 up from the bottom, whatever way you want to look at it. That's kind of the first decision you have to make, is where you're going to put that horizon line. So remember, I'm not working from any photographs. I'm not working from real life. I'm just working from memory and imagination, mostly imagination. So I'm free to do whatever I want. I'm not trying to follow or reproduce anything. So in this one, I decided to put the horizon line closer to the top of the paper. Doing that means you're going to focus more on the land. If you drop the horizon line down towards the bottom of the paper, then the sky will be bigger and you're focusing more on the sky. There's no right, there's no wrong. You just got to make that decision. You've also got to decide on the shape of the horizon line. In this case, it's pretty much flat. So basically, we're standing in a field and it's flat ground, looking out towards that hedgerow and the horizon. But you might decide that your field, that your bit of land that you're standing on is sloped, in which case your horizon line will be diagonal, maybe from top left to bottom right, or top right to bottom left, whatever way the slope is going. So think about this. Think about the land that you're standing on. How does it slope? That will affect the shape of your horizon line. Also, maybe it's not such flat country. Maybe there's hills in the distance. So your horizon line is going to be not a straight line. It's going to have some hills, some indentations and so on in the horizon line. It's not just going to be a straight line. Again, you don't need any photographic references to do all of this. You can do it all in your head. And when you're doing it in your head, you're not worried about details. You're just thinking about these big shapes. At this point, you could get yourself a piece of paper and start sketching in, doing little thumbnail sketches of these different possible positions and shapes of your horizon line, and you're starting to get some compositions. Choose the one that looks most interesting to you, the one that you would like to work on further. So just to sort of sum up, simple composition. Where's your horizon line? Is it low? Is it high? Do you want to focus on the sky or the land? And the basic shape of the horizon line as well. All of this is the foundation of your drawing, and it's much more important than how am I going to draw this tree or this blade of grass. Those are details. Forget about those for the moment. Just focus on that big composition. That's the foundation that everything else is built on. If you go back to that example that I showed and simplify everything down to just dark and light, so simple composition, simple value scheme, and get rid of all those little details and things. Basically what we have is the shape on the right. And this is the next part. You've got your horizon line, you've got your sky, your land, you know where everything's going. You need to give it a bit of visual interest. So you need to create some shapes and think about the values. Which part of the drawing is going to be dark? Which part's going to be lighter? And you need some sort of shape in there that's visually interesting to look at. And again, you don't need any reference photographs or anything. You can do all of this in your head. And little pencil thumbnail sketches on a sketchbook or something. Once you've got that, that's pretty much the foundation. And then after that, it's just a matter of adding in some detail. So again, going back to that example, if we take a little bit of the foreground and sort of magnify it up, you can see the detail. Now, one more thing that you have to do, and I'm sort of glossing over this, but this is kind of quite a big thing, is whatever medium you're working in, like say I'm working with charcoal, you've got to figure out how to make the charcoal or whatever medium you're using do whatever it is that you want to do. In other words, you've got to get experience with that medium. And that does take time. The good thing about charcoal is it's more forgiving as a medium. You can move it around a bit. You don't have to settle on one thing. There's no color, obviously, with charcoal, usually. You can get some slightly colored compressed charcoals, but let's just say you're working with black charcoal. So you've only got values to think about. And that does simplify things. Then you don't have to worry about color schemes and so on and so on. Making it easier for yourself at the beginning is good, I think. The way I create the details, I put down some charcoal, I smudge it with some Kleenex or my hands or whatever I'm using. And then with a thing called a kneadable eraser or a kneaded eraser or a putty eraser. Different people call it different names, but basically it's an eraser that's quite soft, and you can mold it with your fingers into different shapes, and you can use it to create different lines and dots and different things, and you create this feeling of detail, of grass and leaves and wildflowers and things. And you can, go to town on that and put in as much detail as you want. So that's my basic process. Anybody that's interested, there are details below this video. This is a bit of unashamed kind of self-promotion, but I do have an online course, a new course for charcoal landscape drawing. Let's say details below this video. And I have a few demo videos showing how I do, I think, this particular drawing, but other drawings similar to it as well. And how I use the kneaded eraser and the charcoal and the smudging and all of that kind of stuff. But that's it, basically how to get started with charcoal. Simplify things as much as possible. It will make it easier for you. Think about the big shapes, and just get started, because you're going to have to get to grips with whatever medium you're using, whether it's charcoal or anything else. And that just takes time. But you do actually have to start somewhere, and you have to start doing things. So it's getting over that initial sort of intimidating feeling. If you made it this far in the video, thank you for watching, listening, and hopefully see you again in next week's video.